Today we're going to be talking about how to stack your rib cage over your pelvis and also how to brace when lifting with kettlebells. This is going to be really important in learning how to protect your body under load and also maximize your strength. I know you know the value of breathing, so let's connect that to your lifts. Alright, so we're going to start with the stack. And what is the stack? We're going to align the head, the rib cage, the pelvis and the feet on top of each other. So we start from the floor. I want you to get your feet about hip width apart, and I want you to sense the knuckle of the big toe, the inner heel, and don't lose the outer foot, right? Simple, we're standing, right? I want you to also unlock the knees a little bit, about 5-10%. And then place your hands on your hips. So once you have your hands on your hips, you can find that you can actually tip the pelvis independently. You can tip it forwards, you can tip it backwards. And I want you to kind of use this metaphor, imagining your pelvis is like a bowl of water. If it was full of water, if we would tip it forward, it would spill water in front of you. If you tipped it back, you'd, spill water behind you, right? So I want you to kind of find a spot where the pelvis is kind of level with the ground-ish. For some people that might mean you tuck under slightly. For some people you might need to tuck forward slightly, right? So just find that middle ground. Cool. So once you have your pelvis set, we're going to have a look at the rib cage. We're going to do that by going for a forward reach, and we need to set the rib cage backward. One note here about setting the pelvis is even if you added a slight tuck, we're not feeling any tension in the glutes or the six-pack abs. If anything, we're feeling tension in the side abs or the obliques with your exhale. As you reach forward, I want you to think about the space between your shoulder blades and spine. I want you to stay tall, which means we want the rib cage to sit back, but not at the cost of the sternum collapsing or your body crunching and losing height. So we're going to exhale out the mouth and notice how those obliques kind of turn on your side abs, and it also sets that rib cage down without the sternum depressing, right? So once again, let's get all those things together. Pelvis is set, reaching forward, and watch as the rib cage kind of sets back. All right, now it's your turn. Follow along with me. You're going to place your feet about hip width apart, sensing the knuckle of the big toe and the inner heel and outside foot. You're going to go for a slightly soft knee right here, hands on the hips, acting as if the pelvis is a bowl of water, tipping it forward, back, find that middle ground. Good. Now we're going to go for a forward reach, and we're going to go for our long exhale out the mouth and watch as the rib cage falls. So let's go for it. As you're going for that reach, I want you to sense the space between the shoulder blades and the spine. That's how you know you're in that stack. And there you have it. You found your stack. I want you to remember what this looks and feels like in your body, because you're going to be revisiting this a lot in a lot of the lifts that we're going to be doing. You can either commit this to memory with your arms reaching, or you can also just bring your hands down and just notice how this makes you feel as well. Remember, if you lose this position in the rib cage, you can always go for a long, soft exhale and get a sense of where in space your rib cage is. Let's look at stacking in a goblet squat. Grab your kettlebell with the handle up and hold it close to your chest. Even though we don't have our hands free, we can still get into that stacked position. To get ribs over pelvis, we can reach your elbows forward just a little bit to create that space in the back and exhale to set your ribs. Think about unlocking the knees and eyes on the horizon. Sense those side abs and inhale as you descend into the squat, keeping that stack intact, and exhale as you push back up. See how the ribs stay aligned with the hips? This is how stacking gives you more control. Now you try it. All right, you probably noticed I have these squat wedges here, and I love them so much because what they naturally do is send your center of mass towards your heels, which takes care of the pelvis position a lot easier than without them at all, right? So if you don't have them, you can use some books of equal thickness underneath your heels, and that does a really good job too. Or if you don't have any, just for this demo, it's totally fine, feet on the floor, right? So for that, I want you to find your natural squat position. That might mean you're a little bit wider. That's totally cool. I want you to grab the bell with both hands. Get your hands around the base of the handle horns on either side. What we're going to do is think about our pelvis position, especially if we're flat on the floor. We're not tipped too far back, not tucked too under too much. Find that middle ground. Now, without losing your height, I want you to reach those elbows forward, and we're going to go for a full exhale to set the ribs. Inhale as you descend. Exhale to stand tall. And feel those side abs. Hold on to that tension. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Still feeling tall. Inhale. Exhale. Nice job. Shake it out. Bracing is all about building tension in the core to better protect the spine, and we can do that by learning how to create intra-abdominal pressure, which is tethered to breathing, as we covered in our last lesson. This kind of pressure is the same pressure that you might find in a Coke can or a soft drink can. So even if you were to stand on top of a can, it would stay intact because of the pressure that is wrapping 360 degrees around it. We're going to learn how to do this right now. So just like how we practice our diaphragmatic breathing with our back on the floor, we're going to do this standing, right? So we're going to start with a long, soft exhale out the mouth to get the rib cage to sit down naturally. Once you feel those side abs engage at the end of your exhale, then you're going to hold on to that slight tension. Inhale through the nose, close the mouth, and you can even lift your tongue up to the roof of your mouth as you do that. So I'm going to demonstrate that here. We're going to start with a long, soft exhale out of the mouth, and at the end of your exhale, you're going to feel your side abs slightly engage. I want you to slightly hold on to that tension, close your mouth and inhale through the nose, and feel your rib cage expand. This creates pressure inside your core, and you know you're doing it right if you have your hands on your sides and you notice that your hands are being pushed away from the center point. Now you have that pressure, this is the brace, and that is what you'll hold on to as you lift. You can brace like this for most of your lifts when you're lifting anything from light to heavy, but if you're lifting super heavy weights, you can also use a different bracing option where at the top of your inhale, you'll actually hold and brace from there, perform your lift, and then exhale at the top. I'll show you what that looks like a little later, but for now, it's your turn. All right, so we're going to focus on bracing while performing a kettlebell deadlift. So we're going to stand either side of the kettlebell with the handle aligned with our laces. We're going to soften those knees, place our hands on our hips, and we're going to find that sweet spot in the middle with our pelvis level with the floor. We're going to go for a forward reach with the arms and go for a long, soft exhale out the mouth to set the ribs. So nice job. On your next inhale, we're going to move and push those hips back with the inhale, keeping those knees static over the laces. We're going to exhale as we push through the ground and stand tall. Inhale as you come back down. Keep those knees nice and soft. Exhale. And just notice how your rib cage expands with your inhale. Exhale as it compresses. Let's do 2 more reps. Inhale. Stretch behind the thighs. Exhale as you stand tall. 1 more to bring it back down nice and safely, and let it go. Shake it out. Well done, you're getting more and more with more practice. Now, if you're lifting super heavy weights, there's a slightly different approach borrowed from power lifters. We're going to start the same way, exhaling fully to engage your side abs and set your ribs down. But this time, as you inhale through your nose, you're going to hold the breath at the top of your inhale, keeping your tongue pressed against the roof of your mouth. This builds maximum tension in your core for heavier lifts. So once you've built that pressure, hinge down, grabbing the kettlebell, and hold that breath as you lift. Reset the brace at the top between reps by exhaling fully, then inhale and brace again before each lift. Give this one a try when you're lifting heavier and notice how this can offer you a little bit more extra stability when you need it most. Now, I know the idea of stacking and bracing is a little bit annoyingly technical right now, but I promise you, with a bit of practice, this is going to become a lot more natural in your lifts, and by bonus, you will feel more protected and stable in your lifts too. And remember, stacking aligns your body, bracing builds core tension, and breathing ties it all together. Practice this regularly and I promise you'll feel stronger and more stable in all of your movements. Great work today, and I'll see you at the next lesson.